We are following breaking news from Rangjang County in Guizhou province, where the region is facing a severe and escalating flood emergency. Since the early hours of June 24th, relentless rainfall combined with a surge of water from upstream has caused river levels across the county to rise dramatically. The situation has now surpassed what officials describe as the threshold for a once-in-30-year flood. This has led to widespread inundation, forcing thousands of residents to flee their homes and seek safety. Local authorities report that water levels in the Rangjang, Guizhou, and Dulyu rivers have continued to rise steadily throughout the day. By mid-morning, these rivers had spilled over their banks, flooding streets, neighborhoods, and vital infrastructure. The flooding has overwhelmed the flood defense systems that had been reinforced in recent years, leaving the region vulnerable to further damage as heavy rain continues to fall. One of the most striking images from this disaster comes from the largest shopping center in Rangjang, Chongqi Plaza, which was completely overtaken by floodwaters in a matter of minutes. Eyewitnesses describe scenes of panic as merchants and customers were caught off guard by the rapid rise of the water. A shop owner selling children's clothing on the second floor shared that she watched helplessly as newly arrived summer merchandise was destroyed. Nearby, the force of the water broke through the roller doors of other shops, sweeping away stock and leaving significant losses behind. Beyond the city's commercial center, aerial footage paints a sobering picture. The stadium that recently hosted local sports matches is now entirely submerged. The streets surrounding the venue are indistinguishable from the rivers, with vehicles abandoned or swept away by strong currents. In some neighborhoods, residents have resorted to using makeshift flotation devices, including large plastic basins, to assist in moving vulnerable community members to higher ground. The floodwaters in parts of the city have reached as high as the third floor of residential buildings, and reports indicate that in low-lying districts, the flooding is even more severe. Transportation across the region is in chaos. Sections of the Xiamen-Chengdu Expressway, a major transport artery, have been transformed into rivers. Drivers caught in these areas have abandoned vehicles as the waters rose too quickly for them to escape safely. Local roads are largely impassable, complicating the efforts of emergency responders trying to reach those in need. Electricity and communication networks have been severely disrupted in many districts, adding another layer of difficulty to rescue and relief operations. Schools have suspended classes, and emergency shelters have been established throughout the city and in neighboring areas to provide refuge for those displaced by the flood. Authorities in Rangjang County have raised the flood emergency response level from 3 to 2, reflecting the seriousness of the threat. Emergency teams have been deployed around the clock, coordinating evacuations and monitoring the integrity of key infrastructure. Evacuation orders have been issued for a wide swath of the city, including the Old Town area, new urban districts such as Golden Bay and Riverview City, and many other residential communities. Officials are urging all residents in threatened areas to leave immediately, follow designated evacuation routes, and not attempt to retrieve belongings or approach flooded rivers and drainage systems. Meteorologists warn that the danger is far from over. The Guizhou Provincial Meteorological Administration forecasts continued heavy rainfall from the evening of June 24th through June 27th. With the ground already saturated and rivers swollen, even modest additional rainfall could trigger further flooding, as well as landslides and other secondary hazards. The risk of additional disasters in both urban and rural areas remains high. Residents have been reminded to stay informed through official channels, including local radio, television broadcasts, and emergency alert systems. Emergency services stress the importance of avoiding floodwaters, noting that even shallow, fast-moving water can pose life-threatening risks. Those in affected areas are being urged not to return home until authorities declare it safe to do so. Throughout this unfolding emergency, the sense of community has been clear. Neighbors have helped neighbors, forming human chains and using available resources to assist with evacuations. However, the scale of the disaster means that support from provincial and national emergency teams is now essential. Relief supplies, including food, clean water, and blankets, are being distributed to shelters, and teams are working to restore basic services where possible.
小孩开心哦，你妈到大腿了。到底都是跑毛车。
The disaster has also sparked widespread discussion across social media and news platforms in China. The scale and suddenness of the flooding have drawn attention nationwide, with many expressing concern for those affected and calling for greater flood defense investments in vulnerable regions. Some commentators note that this flood comes just as other parts of southern China, including Hunan, begin to recover from earlier flood events, highlighting the intense and persistent rainfall this season. As this emergency continues to evolve, we will provide updates on the extent of the damage, ongoing evacuations, and the efforts of emergency teams on the ground. The situation in Rangjang County is a powerful reminder of the need for preparedness and resilience in the face of increasingly extreme weather. For now, the priority remains clear: ensuring the safety of residents and preventing further loss of life as this severe flooding continues to affect the region.
进也不能进，出也不能出了，现在是。